Hi, everybody, and welcome back for another exciting week of Espanol. This week we are here to discuss directions vocabulary. Turn right, continue straight, those types of things. So, our learning objectives are that you'll be able to identify vocabulary related to cities, directional words, and phrases, and that you'll be able to give and receive directions both orally in Spanish and also in writing. So let's get started by taking a look at a few vocab words. As far as asking for directions, you can fill in all of these blanks here with a place to ask where something is located. So, ¿dónde está? In whatever place. So, ¿dónde está el banco? Where is the bank? ¿Dónde está? Where is? ¿Cómo llego a place? So, ¿cómo llego al banco? How do I get to the bank? ¿Cómo llego a? How do I get to? Or hay un blank por aquí, or hay una blank por aquí. Hay una tienda por aquí. Is there a store around here? Hay una tienda por aquí. To answer these questions, as you're describing a location, you might say está, it is, and then give a description. So está muy cerca, it's very close, or está muy lejos, it's very far away. You might use the word de here to say that it's located a certain proximity from something else, de. We use the word in to say that something is located in or on. So in tres cuadras, in 3 blocks. The big key terms you see in this chapter here are these words, and these are your directional words. And I always tell you to take a look here at the cat, and depending on where the cat is located, you will determine what these mean. So we have delante de, in front of, detrás de, behind. So delante de, in front of, detrás de, behind, debajo de, look now he's underneath the table, debajo de, entre, he's between 2 tables, entre, al lado de, next to, encima de, on top of, and finally, a la derecha de or a la izquierda de. So you can use these in a variety of contexts when talking about the directions or the location of something. So, for example, el banco está al lado del café. So the bank is to the right, or excuse me, it's next to, al lado de, the cafe. So you can use these to describe anything's location in Spanish. We also have some ordinal numbers here which are important. Primero is first, segundo, second, and tercero, third. We're going to use these words, primero, tercero, segundo, to talk about a certain street or a block you may turn on. So, doble a la derecha, turn to the right, in la tercera calle, on the 3rd street, in la tercera calle. Speaking of turning, you see some phrases here. Siga derecho, continue straight, as you can see here on the sign. Siga derecho. Doble a la derecha, turn to the right. Doble a la derecha, turn to the left. Doble a la izquierda. Or maybe if you're on an interstate or something, siga las señales para in whatever place. So siga las señales, follow the signs. A señal is a sign, and you see some signs here. So I could say, looking at this picture, siga las señales para Málaga. Follow the signs for Málaga. You might also tell someone here, continúe por certain number of cuadras. So continúe por 5 cuadras. If I start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So continúe por 5 cuadras. Y doble a la izquierda. Turn to the left. You might tell someone to take a certain exit number. Tome la salida número, and then give a number. So tome la salida número 21. Take exit 21. You might tell someone to drive, conduzca, to walk, camine, or to cross the street, cruce la calle. Now, this obviously is just a very quick introduction to this directions vocabulary, but you have your Quizlet that you're going to be studying as well. Next, we're going to take a look at some things you're going to have to do this week. One of the things that you have to do in this week's weekly module is an interactive trip in Espanol. So it asks you here at the top, ¿Cómo llego a X? How do I arrive at this specific destination? And in this PowerPoint, you're going to want to click, as opposed to using the right or the left arrow keys, you're going to want to click, but it's going to give you an expression here at the top. And in this case, you see doble a la derecha, turn to the right, doble a la derecha. So if you've been studying your Quizlet, you already know what all of these words mean. and you're going to go through and click the button here, the green arrow, to go to the right. So we're going to hit this little right arrow key. Now, just for funsies, I want to show you what would happen here if for some reason you did not click that right arrow key. Let's say you hit the wrong button and you went the wrong way. In that case, it's going to give you an error message, and it's going to tell you to keep trying. So for example, I'm going to click this left arrow key over here. In this case, it says, incorrecto, dese una vuelta, make a U-turn. So we can click back there again. What if we hit up? Oh, no, incorrecto, dese una vuelta. And it's going to tell you to go again. So we're going to doble a la derecha, turn to the right. And here you see, ¿qué significa esta señal? What does this symbol mean? ¿Qué significa esta señal, this sign? And ceda el paso. Notice it's the same shape as our yield sign. That's what it means, yield. Here you see doble a la izquierda. Say it with me. Doble a la izquierda. Turn to the left. So you're going to turn to the left. This is practice for an activity you're going to be doing later in this class where, well, I say later in this class, later in this module, where you're going to be asked on a map to draw a certain path or find a certain location. So here it tells us to siga derecho, which means continue straight. Siga derecho. And it asks you here, ¿qué significa esta señal? What does this symbol mean? This is the speed limit symbol. You can see 80 kilómetros, 80 kilometers. So this is their speed limit. It says, siga las señales para Mérida. You see a sign here, a señal, and it tells you, siga las señales. Follow the sign. Siga las señales para Mérida. So you see Mérida here, you see a left arrow key, we should hit left. In this case, it tells us to tome la salida número 27. So tome, take, la salida, exit, número 27, number 27. So you can see here all the different salidas, all the different exits. We're looking for número 27, so we're going to click 27. If you did click the wrong one, again, it's going to tell you make a U-turn and click 27. So it gives you some practice for what you're going to be doing later. Here you see doble a la derecha en la segunda calle. So doble a la derecha, you learned earlier. La derecha is to the right, not to be confused with derecho with an O, which means straight. But here we're saying turn to the right en la segunda calle, the second street, la segunda calle. And again, if you've been studying your Quizlet, you should know all these words. So turn to the right at the second street. Here's our first street, here's our second street. We need to turn to the right. What about this one? ¿Qué significa esta señal? What does this sign mean? Well, this says that parking is allowed. The word for parking in Spanish, you notice it's not a P like what we have, it's an E. Because parking, the word for parking in Spanish is estacionamiento. Estacionamiento. So this is saying that parking is allowed, estacionamiento. If parking were not allowed, you'd see like a big slash or an X through it. So here we're saying parking is allowed. Next we see doble a la derecha en la primera calle. Turn to the right again, doble a la derecha en la primera calle, at the first street. You can see that's here. Next we see doble a la izquierda en la primera calle. So turn to the left this time, doble a la izquierda en la primera calle, at the first street. ¿Qué significa esta señal? What does this sign mean? Well, this one's no parking. And this goes on and on and on. It allows you to practice with that vocab that you should be learning in this module. So now, you're going to have a series of activities that I'm asking you to do this week. So I wanted to give you an example of what I kind of expect for you. It's going to ask you to download a photo, a couple of maps actually. This is one of the maps you're going to have to download. And one of the activities is going to have an audio where I tell you to do something and you're supposed to draw and follow the steps. In this case, I am going to go through and just sort of walk you step by step through what you're going to be doing. So let's say you're starting over here at number 1, and I tell you to siga derecho en la calle Condor. So you know that siga derecho means, hopefully you're saying continue straight, siga derecho. And in this case, you see all the different streets. Going up and down, we have Calle Cuervo. Going across, we have Calle Condor, Avenida Quetzal, Calle Cardenales, Avenida Águila, Calle Cisne, y Calle Colibrí. So In this case, you were told to sigue derecho, continue straight, en la calle Condor. And I'm going to add to that. I'm going to tell you to sigue derecho por 2 cuadras. 2 cuadras. So continue straight en la calle Condor por 2 cuadras, for 2 blocks. So here we go. 1 block, 2 block. Okay, we've arrived at G. The next instruction you're going to get is doble a la derecha en la calle Cisne. So doble a la derecha. We know a la derecha means to the right. So we're turning right on calle Cisne. En continúe por 2 cuadras. Continue for 2 blocks. 2 cuadras. So uno, dos. We arrive here. Okay, now I'm going to tell you doble a la derecha. So notice again, if you're standing here and you're turning to the right, you're going this way. So doble a la derecha por 1 cuadra. Where do you arrive? You're entre, between el hospital y el restaurante, between these two things. So you're going to have an activity this week that asks you to listen and sort of follow through with some of these. So you'll just be going from one letter to a number, or from a number to a letter, depending on the activity that you have. So you're going back and forth between those. Okay, the other activity you're going to have, and I will show you what it looks like here, is like this. And this is the auditory activity. And I'm going to tell you that a la derecha de la oficina hay el restaurante. So a la derecha de la oficina, to the right of the office, hay el restaurante. There's a restaurant. So in this box, you would write restaurant. So some of these activities this week will require you to print out these pages, write on them, and then take a photo of them. If you're savvy with technology, you can always just write in the boxes online, but most people like to print it and write on it that way. You can do it however works for you. That is what you're doing here in this module. So again, I encourage you to spend some time with the Quizlet. Make sure you spend some time with that interactive field trip and all that stuff before you start your activities this week. Hope everybody has a wonderful week. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me.